should have told you like, so she walked in, push play.
That's not true.
That is so true.
Don't do that.
I should have been like, soon as she walk in, just push play, don't even tell her. And then we'll just edit. She'll find out when it come out. She see it on YouTube.
That's terrible.
Like, yeah, because, you know, you're a character, man. That's good, though. A lot of balance. Get up.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you do. Anyway. So this is the Touch KC podcast. This is our first time recording this live, actually. So this is for our YouTube channel. And the goal, I am tripping. This is not Touch KC podcast. This is actually the Interpersonal Podcast. You can edit that out. But it's a personal podcast.
He's making a lot of work
and our goal is to just get brilliant minds that I know and have engaging dialogue about topics that matter to people, right? And so so I'm glad you were able to come. Not that you were really warned, but you came anyway. That's that ride or die. We need that. We need that in our city. And so the topic today is mentoring. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself in whatever way you decide to do that, and we'll get right into it. So who are you? What are you about, and why should people care?
I'm not sure why should people care, but I'm Victoria Hammond, born in KC, raised, 32, 2 kids. I don't know why you should care. I don't think you should care about anybody. I think you should care about things and people that you choose to.
What's happening here? What's going on? This is off to a fun start. All right, so
you should care more about your family. Charity starts at home.
You know, we need to do like a family segment. Just talk about like building family bonds in a healthy way. But that's not what we're talking about today, though. I've been knowing Victoria for we old. How long has it been?
About 2006.
Yo, it's 2020. Yes, about 2006. Wow. 35th and Prospect.
Came a long way.
And even then, so you had a passion for community. And then that's kind of, even as you go on into your career path, it's kind of centered around that. I would like for you to share, as much as you feel comfortable, your experience with like mentoring and just from a personal space, how that helped you.
Okay. Now we're on a serious level, so now I can speak seriously.
Okay.
So like as far as like mentorship go, I have tons of great mentors, and I think I had reached the age when I didn't even realize like the significance and the impact of the mentors I actually had. So I've had mentors from like Feel Good, Chris Good's dad. Shout out to Feel Good, Chris Good, Ruby Jeans. But I've had even mentors such as what's her name? She gonna kill me.
She is.
You know, not from 35th and Prospect. Miss Man, Debbie Man. I'm sorry. I had a mind thing going there, but even watching her like run her business from a daycare to the community center and watching that from the ground up. I've always had great people leaning in, but like the most significant one recently, I would say, even like really taking a step back and having appreciation. Like the most recent one was Stephanie Smith. Like I worked under her.
Shout out to Stephanie, man.
Shout out to Stephanie.
She's actually on the podcast. You're gonna actually have her on the podcast. I just had to throw that in there. I feel real proud of myself. But go ahead.
But yeah, Stephanie Smith. I worked under her for about 7 years at the Linwood Y, and like the growth and the polishing, the coaching, the unapologetically being me and expecting nothing more but being outstanding, being coachable, being flexible. Like you're gonna make mistakes, but at the same time, accountability. Like all that wrapped in one was so significant. It added grace. It added comfortability. Like you were really comfortable with being you and being black and being in those spaces that weren't necessarily really catered for us, and being comfortable with being the first at the table or being the voice of those who aren't at the table, and recognizing that you have a purpose to do that. So really navigating those spaces. And then when I even think about further, I would be like, it would be terrible of me, like, just not to mention like my mom and my dad. Like my mom does a lot of missionary work, and I didn't even think I realized that part until like recent years. Like she's a part of like Mothers in Charge. She's been doing missionary work with her church. She does a lot of volunteering, and then I think about it, she's probably volunteered for like every single event that I had. And then my dad, like the foundation, the core. My dad, he's this very, I remember watching another guy, he was on a TED Talk. He's like this very country, basic, right is right, wrong is wrong, but the smartest man you'll ever meet kind of thing. We watch, you know, CNN, like he gave me life principles, but he's also like mentored me in a way of like skill sets. So the skill sets I've learned from him was like culinary skills. So I can cook, I can do fruit trays and carve like fruit and things like that into different things. He also taught me how to plant and cultivate and bring life and really be the center for the family. So regardless of what other people say or what the concepts of what we lost, always go back to the fundamentals of just bringing people together just to eat. He always said people would rather give you a drink than buy you food. And
interesting.
Yeah, and so that's been a big part of my upbringing.
There.
Yeah, so that's always been part of my upbringing. And then he also worked for a country club and introduced me to a lot of like prolific young people. So I used to grow up in my house, and like the Kemper kids will be in my house, and to me, you're just people. So I just always had like really great people just leaning in, and for me it added to my confidence. It added to the seat of you treat every man and woman the same, regardless of their title, their label, their stature. And it made me stand tall. Like the more people, the more mentors in your life to lean in with, you are able to stand that much taller. We stand on the shoulders and the backs of our ancestors and the people that come before us. And so I had cousins that would like take me on college tours and introduce me to different circles and industries that I never did, and it just make you more rounded. But you have to be humble, and you have to be able to receive the good with the bad. And so I'm definitely appreciative of all of my mentors, especially Stephanie Smith. Like we have a relationship that's turned into like a kinship. Like she is my family.
Stephanie is the truth.
She is my family. They bring so much enlightenment. They bring life. And it's one of those things where it's every relationship I learned from her is give and get. It's not just what you can get, but also what you can give. And any relationship that's off balance is abusive. And so making sure that when people are pouring into you, you're able to pour something back or give something back into them. So just, you know, always being mindful of how you can give your time, talent, and treasures to people. And that's one of the concepts that we built, like one of our great crews and teams with.
Right. I think that this mentorship is so important because when you talk about abusive relationships, so my experience with mentors has been the opposite.
Oh, wow.
Right? When it talks about, we talk about breathing life and being able to stand on their shoulders, and that kind of off balance kind of thing. So coming up, I didn't really have particularly males that I can say, oh, this guy's in my corner. It was always, yo, I want to help you, youngin'. You know, I want to help bring you along till they find out you're actually talented, and they can utilize that for themselves. And then it's like now they see you as competition. And I've been going through that since I was like in my 20s. And so that, so you fast forward years later, is now I'm in a position of actually mentoring. We mentor through our company, Touch KC LLC. Hi, check us out, touchkc.com. Flex, weird flex, but and being that, it was crazy. I had this young guy that I've been working with, but I didn't see it that way. I was just helping because he wanted help. I saw greatness in him, and just kind of reached out to him. We did a couple projects together, And he called me one day. He's like, yo, you know you're my mentor, right? And I was like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, you're my mentor. Like, you're my mentor. Like, you are my... Just so we're clear about our relationship. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess. And then, so talking to him and being able to help him with his process and help him, because he's meant, like you said, like when you take on someone as a mentor, the goal is to make them to make them be more effective than you were at their point in life.
Right, expedite the process.
Absolutely.
It's a great deal of responsibility as a mentor. I myself mentor several individuals, and you're not even really sure of the impact that you've made on another individual's life until they come back and they're like, hey, this is what you did. And I'm like, me? I did that? I was just talking to you. Exactly. We were just hanging out. No, I just wanted you to do great.
You never know the impact you're having on other people. And it wasn't until I got older, you know, God is blessed and I've been able to do some significant things in my life. But I look back and was like, man, if I would have had someone invest here, and at this point, where would I be right now?
Boy.
But I think there's a fear of, well, you said that unbalance. So for the person who's older, the person who's more experienced, the fear is investing and then being disrespected or unappreciated. And I can understand that. But I think the other side of that is you cannot underestimate the power of help. So like you catch someone when they were still in their development, and you ever get your hand in there and they can really look back inside to see how you really shape their path. Oh, they'll be bonded to you for life.
Forever indebted.
Forever indebted.
Forever indebted. I mean, now I think there's also, when we talk about leadership, leadership styles and leadership kind of comes into play, because you think about, well, to be a great mentor, you have to have been a great leader. So if you had experiences with terrible mentors, they probably weren't great leaders from the get, because great leaders understands the quality and value of each one teach one, pulling one up while you're, stepping up yourself. That's an
interesting point. Okay, let me think about that for a second.
Because an interesting leader knows the best quality is to listen, first and foremost, and the ability of, if you look good, I look good. So, I mean, I think that's a whole confidence in leadership in itself. So those are timid leaders that just didn't understand that your greatest capital are people.
I'm doing a live event on our Facebook page on just mentoring, just like mentoring the mentor and what that takes. And I think a lot of times that leadership piece, I think, is something to really chew on. You can't really be a good leader if you're not a good mentor, because I think there is an element of that idea of a good leader having to be a good mentor. I think part of what has to be unpacked is, what is a leader exactly? I think with leadership, I've done a few trainings on leadership with different organizations, and the biggest misconception about leadership is the idea that it is an official position and not a relational one. I think the best leaders are relational leaders, even if they are in an official capacity, versus just saying this person has a title. And so when we talk about mentorship, we're all in this kind of back and forth between being leaders and followers. Right? Like, and the idea that being a follower is a more
negative content.
Yeah, negative. You're kind of second man. Your job. That's your job.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. It's about being effective, and in times to be most effective, you got to sit in the back, sometimes you got to sit in the front. I think mentoring, though I think leadership, parenting, you mentioned your parents, they have mentoring elements. They're not necessarily mentors. I think all leaders, because I'm thinking about what you said as far as like leaders being, I'm trying to think exactly how you said it, that to be a good leader means you have to be a good mentor. To be a good mentor, you have to be a good leader. There you have it.
Or should I say, to be a good mentor, you have to have great leadership qualities.
Oh, it's okay, because that's definitely my phone.
Ringing.
Yeah, my phone is definitely.
Weird guy.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Battery died.
Yo, we out here, man. We out here. You know, some people supposed to be here at 12, but yeah, you know, we out here though. We out here in these streets.
Under false pretenses.
True, but that's beyond the point. But yeah, when we talk about leadership, I think a lot of times when mentors who decide to be like official mentors, they don't really understand what it means to be just a mentor, because we officiate it, but it's super relational.
It's very relational.
Right? When you try to, like, this idea of assigning someone a mentor, I've never liked that idea. Like, I still don't. The reason
I don't think any of those worked out. I've had
a
couple that were assigned to me, and I was like, this is way off. This is nothing in like the major I'm going in. This is nothing professional in the career path I'm choosing that you asked me to put down on this paper, these 2-page papers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really. Because when you go about it as if it's a leadership position, you miss the power of it. I think being a mentor, and I say this all the time, the person being mentored that's the only person that can determine if you're a mentor. So I can't come to you and be like, I'm your mentor now. It doesn't really work.
No, those kind of work.
Talk me through it.
I've had a couple of those. So
did they know you beforehand?
Yeah, they didn't know me beforehand.
Okay, that makes a little more. I see that.
They didn't know me.
Oh, they didn't know you.
They did not know me.
They was like, yo, you.
Yeah, they were like,
I'm mentoring you now.
No, it was like a casual conversation started, and then in the midst of the casual conversation, it was like, you have something, and I want to see it be developed even more if I could help with that, and I would like to mentor you in some things.
But it still had to be your decision.
At the end, it had to be my decision, but it wasn't my call. Like, I never even thought or looked at them.
I can see that.
And so I've seen a couple of those, but I would say the ones that I didn't approach, I was more hesitant to like kind of respond to it.
And I'm trying to think. I've actually done it to I've done it to one person. What's up, Nate? I did that to one person where I was just like, yeah, because I watched him for years. I was really a part of his development. I was like, yeah, I'm putting you on my hip. You know, we have too many similarities. I see where you can go. You coming with me, but we also had a relationship prior to that like kind of allowed that not to be awkward. Because I definitely had a moment where I was hot. Oh, I was hot. I shouldn't have been as angry as I was, but I was hot. This is why I was mad. So dude was just like, he made this announcement to everybody that, yeah, you know, I've been mentoring Travis for a while. So what the you've been doing?
You just call out his name specifically.
Like, yeah, he's like, yeah, you know. This group of people, right? Like,
hope you don't come on this podcast, Nate.
Man. And I think he meant well, because in his way, he thought that was like kind of big up in me. But I'm just like, you've had nothing to do with my development. But you're taking, it can look like you're taking credit for the work I put in. That's why I say you can't. I may choose to mentor you, but I'm not going to call you my mentee. Like, I'm going to wait for you to give me that title. But on the other side, though, mentoring is weird because it's not coaching, but it has elements. It's not. You're not a supervisor, but it has elements. You're not. It has elements of all these things we attribute to a kind of hierarchy position. But it's not. But it is.
It's like kind of. It's kind of coupled with like the respect value and how we kind of place them in a hierarchy kind of scale in the world. Like it has to be a higher respect level. And I think for them to be a mentor, we have to feel like their skill set in whatever facet that is above the ones that we have. So like one of the things Stephanie, one of the things she like really helped me with was to I started to do, instead of doing like one mentor for like every aspect, I started to look for mentors in different aspects of my life. So a spiritual mentor, because no person is like the master of everything, but one person is the master of something. And so I have a spiritual mentor. Shout out to Bishop Mark Tolbert, Victoria's Life. I have an educational mentor. I have a professional mentor. So like I have these different mentors and I use them. They're like my what do we call them? my personal board of directors. And so I consult with them in different times and different aspects, and they work. They done lifted me up and lifted me out. And I always make sure I'm there to support or there to give back in some capacity, some shape, form. And I've even got calls from them that say, hey, you know, I have this young lady I want you to work with, or I have this. And to me, that's an honor. Like, my mentor want me to work with somebody. Okay, I'm there, you know. So even just the respect and the honor that you give each other, it's a give and take relationship. And it's like those little times make those little seeds that, you know, mentors plant make such a huge impact on people's life. Like I started to mentor a young lady that was part of one of my programs, and it was just little casual conversations, or when we were out on a field trip, or when she was waiting for a ride, we'd have conversations, or something that was planned in the program. You know, we would just talk, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want? Why? It was questions. It's more bringing out the things that other people are doing, because people want to be heard. And they don't know they want to be heard until they're heard.
Exactly.
And so just that little small listening piece, she chose her major. She got full ride scholarship. She was vice president over her engineering club. She got a chance to be a intern at Toyota. She did so many things, and each time she went through these phases in life, she sent me a letter to thank me and to tell me how much of a big influence. And I didn't even know it went this deep for her. She was like, you helped me get my first job, you helped me get my volunteer hours, and all these other things. And so I was like, it didn't even take that much time. Like, it wasn't like something elaborate, like we're gonna spend 4 hours, you know. So it's just not underestimating or undervaluing what you have to give people.
I think to be a successful mentor, also you have to have a genuine interest in the other person. And you go to these different programs where they have mentors, there's a lack of interest. It's almost like you're doing to say you've done it, versus. That's why it has to be so gift specific. It needs to be like vision specific. So match up with someone, find someone who has a similar passion, or you see yourself in them. I saw this phrase, this is a meme or something. It's like be to them what you wish someone was to you, right? And I think that to be really effective mentor, you really have to like, this person's well-being has to mean more than your ego.
You definitely have to be present in the moment. One thing I can always say, Stephanie was building a YMCA, and this lady would sit down and we would talk about what am I doing, or how am I feeling for this week, and she would literally be present. Her phone wouldn't be her phone would be face down. She wouldn't be touching it. She would be fully present and fully engaged, and she would ask me questions, and we would do exercises together. And those things were like really meant something, because it's like, dang, if she's doing this and she's taking time out with me, like there's really something in me that I didn't even know was there that I need to really be focused on. And so it's a value thing. It's valuing people. It's valuing humans. It's valuing, you know, just the life around you, that how other people and how we weren't taught to do that.
No, we're not. Not when it's not a direct benefit for ourselves. So I'm gonna say something about our folk. You know, our folk. We do not believe in investment. If it's not an immediate return in our efforts, we are not interested. And
I'm not subscribing to that. I don't believe that.
You better subscribe to it.
I'm not subscribing to that.
Sheet.
My circle is way.
But look, let's talk about your circle though. These are extraordinary individuals, right? Now think about your circle and think about their peers. And what you say the people in this, or your board director, and you compare them to their peers. You know, African American, successful, carry similar spirits, and have a Victoria that they're invested in themselves.
I believe one of the things that we can't take for granted is errors in generations. So there's generational trends that kind of mold how mentors mentor. So like, say for instance, we talk about the baby boomers. Well, what kind of era was that? That was an era when it was more about titles and labels and hierarchies really meant something, right. Where individuals and that whole manufacturing piece was like kind of populating. So that shaped how mentors mentor. So like it was, oh well, you need to learn from me and find out what I'm doing and like model what I'm doing. So it's like that older generation have kind of like a more flexible, less progressive kind of way of mentoring. So if you think about it, so say for instance,
I feel like you're trying to say ego-driven and just trying to.
It could be ego-driven a little bit.
Starting on the camera.
A little bit. But I mean, it was back where that was a trend, where being flashy was a trend, where it's like, well, I created this, so if you want this, then you need to figure out what I did, and this is, not to say that it was wrong, but I think it was just a different way and method of mentoring, as opposed to now it's relational. So as before, it was more leadership driven of like hierarchy and titles. Like
I don't know that that's really changed. Even when we look at our peers, right? Like we're around the same age. When we look at our peers, it's still that ego stuff. Like I don't see a lot of like investing without, because before, like you said, with baby boomers, it was almost about quantitative results.
That's true.
But now it's still driven, just qualitative. What's going to make me feel, how are you going to make me feel better being a mentor versus what you're doing for me? And so then it was more about what are you doing for me? You're going to get that title, and that title's going to make me look good. Now it's how you making me feel important. Can I put this on my Instagram? It made me hot. It's like people who record themselves helping the homeless. It's that kind of stuff. Like I'm doing this to big up myself. And therefore, if you have...
So you're talking about the intentions behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Dina Irvin, because Dina Irvin was a great mentor of mine. Is a great mentor of mine. Dina has always been flexible. I'll pick up the phone and be like, Dina.
Right.
And she'd be like, yes, Victoria. But that's another thing, just having that open door policy at any time. That is like extremely important.
Now, to play the other side, you also have people who are like hard to mentor. So part of the reason why you've had, and I can say that because I just watched you over the last forever. Part of the reason why you've had such success is because you're also very open and you've been very, very specific about your path. And what I see a lot of the young kids today, they just kind of want it done for them. Like they don't really have you're like, yo, what do you want to do? I don't know.
That's why I'm here.
You know what I'm saying? Like, get some drive about you. I think part of...
But I think that's a part of mentoring too. Like if I don't know, then help shape what that looks like. You were talking about peers, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about how our generation mentors. And actually our generation is like at a level where we're excited to give back. But we don't know who and we don't know how, because...
What? Who are these people you talking to?
I don't know what world you live in.
Listen. Yo, look.
My peers, let me tell you.
You all gotta get in this conversation.
Deanna Sappho, Tim Jones, Jessica Paul, Tila Shireen, Danielle, like people that I'm around, we all are like.
But all these people you're
Cameron
naming,
Hardy, like ready.
So for those who
ready, Abe Stokes. Shout out to the A's out the world.
If I may,
Kirk Proctor. Shout out to Kirk Proctor.
All these individuals, what up, Kurt? All these individuals she's naming, I know a few of them personally. These are they are considered unique even within their generational circles. Like Stephen E is not a typical. I wouldn't look. It's like you're like, oh yeah, Barack. Shout out to Barack. Like these are not individuals who I would be like, oh, they encompass a normal attitude. That's why they're doing extraordinary things, because they don't have an ordinary attitude. By and large, absolutely not. If we got, I mean, look, for those who are watching.
You said my personal experience, right?
True.
Y'all, I'm only giving y'all what I know. And I did say y'all, Casey,
hold
y'all.
Hold up. So I'm going to put her on the bus a little bit. So we ain't going to talk about your previous place of employment, but did you feel like all those individuals...
Actually, I did. Jamisha Way was an awesome mentor.
There's a lot of names we're not going to name right now who were not.
That was in the school?
Yeah,
probably so.
And those who consider mentor, like that's the norm.
No, I didn't take them on except anybody as mentor. Your spirit got to be right.
Look, hear what I'm saying. I'm talking about the actual workers there. This is why a lot of these kids are having a hard time. Like, so they're supposed to be mentoring elements, and those elements aren't there, but they'll call themselves mentors. Just like people call themselves counselors.
I know.
But they're not really
part of that mentor thing is like a lot of savior complex is extremely.
Come on, that's what I'm talking about.
Extremely embedded in some of that, and it's like you're not sent to mentor people to try to save them. You're sent to mentor people to help navigate through
and help
challenges and enhancing the skill sets that they already have. or enhance the value that they have that they don't know that they have.
But that savior complex, that's more common than not.
Oh,
you've just been very blessed to be in a situation where you've been around people who saw greatness in you. Because here's the thing too, and to those who want to be like, who are looking for mentors about how to be a mentee, a good mentee, you also were like swinging. You were thirsty for that. You showed that in your path. So even if you were missing, people can see that you were swinging. If you're, and I'm just saying, like, people come to me and ask me to mentor them, and I'm just like, you're too lazy.
Oh God! Oh God!
No, so, you're too lazy.
I mean, there probably was some moments when people thought I was lazy too, maybe.
No,
but you're right. You have to be hungry. You have to be hungry. Like when I was getting mentored, I would come with an agenda. I would do research on the person, on their organization, and what I felt like they had to contribute, and I would ask specifically for those things. Or I would sit down and I would say, hey, this is what I want to learn, and these are the classes, the courses, the trainings, and the people that I've already connected with. What else am I missing, and how can I make this better?
And you have to be the one to seek. So, like, there's a gentleman now kind of taking on, and we're helping him get his life, as far as his life plan and so forth and so on, cultivate his vision. He sought me out. Like, he heard me speak somewhere. He came to me, like, hey, man, what can I do? I gave him an assignment. I was like, I do that a lot of times. I'll give him a personal assignment. I was like, don't text me, and text me when you're done. And based on how quickly they do it, I can say how serious they are. Because as a mentee, you forget that the person, they're mentoring you for free, and these people have lives.
Yeah, people's time is valuable.
And so don't disrespect their time by expecting to be enabled. And what I see in a lot of this generation is a lot of enabling. Like, they just kind of expect things to kind of happen, and they don't want any pushback.
It's really interesting. This new generation, what is it called? Generation X. They're moved by global events more than local events. It's really weird. Yeah, it's weird. You're worried about what's happening in China,
meanwhile,
or Iraq, but you don't know what's happening outside your front door, exactly. Or want to be involved. But I can't tell them they're wrong for that, because as long as you're caring about some type of human value forms, whatever issues, challenges, that's fine. But you are absolutely right when it comes to like just the whole trends of like the new generation. I find it interesting, but I think that's also part of the work of the mentor. Is like when you are sitting down or you having these conversations, you inspire.
But I think also is understanding you can't mentor everybody either.
No.
Like, you're just not. There's certain people. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's certain individuals. I'm just like, I ain't for you.
And some people will come to try to be your mentor and be in your life to try to destroy you. You really have to understand.
Sounds a little bit paranoid, but you're not wrong.
Nah, seriously, it's a lot of people. I wouldn't say destroy.
They might not be wanting to destroy. It's just not a good fit. Like, they can't help you. Like, because mentoring, honestly, that's what makes it strange. It is a one-sided relationship. Like, it's you are giving more as a mentor than the mentee is giving you.
Nah.
At least on the front end.
Yeah, but I say on the front end, but on the back end, you as a mentor, you receive way more than
And here's the thing too, it's a risk. So that's why you can't go in thinking about yourself, because then you invest in this person, you invest, and they're just like, But
I feel like you did your part. I feel like part of our purpose, though, is to mentor, is to each one teach one.
And that's why you cannot be ego-driven. You can't come in thinking about you.
But they think that about the millennial generation. They feel like we're very I and very egotistical.
Because we are. That's not wrong. What? Are y'all serious? Like, this whole, like, love myself at all costs movement, that came from us.
Self-care is important.
That's ain't no self-care.
Self-care is very important. Yo, like the other generations, baby boomer and Generation Y, none of them like really gave self-care. Like, what they taught us was to work, and drive yourself into the ground.
Okay, self-care is the one thing. We're the generation of 500 selfies, and it's just my face. Absolutely.
I don't think I'm subscribing to that.
But you're not wrong.
You're not really wrong.
What are you talking? Go to Instagram right now.
But like, what I appreciate about that, because we come from such a culture that was taught to suppress everything that was beautiful and talented and enriched about us. So I can appreciate that we appreciate and love ourselves in spite of what we've been taught.
I would appreciate if we love things that actually were valuable besides our essence and vibes. Like, what are you actually doing? Like, that's such a hard conversation with our generation.
We were taught that my lips were too full, our hair was too curly and kinky, our skin was too dark.
We kind of missed that. That was the 70s babies.
We didn't miss that.
We kind of missed
that's
that.
inherited though. Like stress and trauma is inherited. So and they continue to incorporate that in advertisement and their music that they chose to select and the faces that they chose to select and put up. Like for a while, they were putting up white faces to black music just because they felt it wasn't digestible.
That was like a little before our time.
Yes, it was before our time, but that's what I'm saying, because we moved so far along. I can appreciate the selfie generation where we say, you know what, here we are and we are beautiful, we stand, and this is us.
You can't just type that. You gotta have 500 of them. You can't just type, let I feel really good about myself. That's it. Because it looks like you're overcompensating, and that's. For me, like, mentoring this, I'd rather cross-mentor. So, like, what I mean by that is I have a friend of mine who's actually mentoring me in business on how to, just how to think about business. And I appreciate that. But honestly, I'm a mentee in that situation. I also cross-mentor. There's people I help with their relationships. They're, like, around my age. But it's difficult. Like, our generation is hard to, I'm thinking about it now, and our generation is hard to mentor. We're extremely cocky.
We were in our rebellious phase.
Yeah, we're like in our 30s.
Yeah, but I'm saying our rebellious phase against like corporate America and like how like the narrative of what we should be. Like we're definitely in our rebellious phase of that. And I feel like to be in that path and to be that stand, not saying for everything, some things, but to be in that rebellious stance, then we have to have a level of confidence that we
just kind of like you almost have to carry, but we've made it now where now the bravado confidence is more important than competence. And so now the generation under us is growing up in this bravado, where bravado is the only thing that matters. How shiny you are is the only thing that matters. People are trying to being unique. I'm like, if you're really a different kind of person, being different is actually really hard on you. If you're really a different kind of person, you don't have to tell people; they'll tell you.
That's true,
right? So we're kind of in that. So
yeah,
now,
I just found out I was different this year.
Really?
On everything, everything, y'all. I just found out I was different. That's a knee slapper.
I'm so confused. So, what?
Yeah. Sorry.
So where have you just haven't been with yourself this whole time?
I've been here, but this is my norm.
You've had but that's what I'm saying. Like, can we just give a shout out to self-awareness? We need more of it, people. How do you see yourself going?
But I'm very self-aware. That's the crazy part. I just didn't know I was that unique. I thought no, seriously. My honey bunches, he just made me aware of like how privileged I was just like with eating. Like growing up, we ate breakfast, lunch, brunch, snacks, and dinner. And then for dinner, sometimes we have 2 options because everybody doesn't eat the same thing.
Calorie plan.
And they used to you had a pantry, and I'm like, yeah, but I didn't know that was so different.
Well, I mean, it's different depending on who you're around, right? So I would say within our circles of people, you're different because of the energy you bring. Mm-hmm. But I think if someone's going to mentor you, that's something you're not mentoring to change a person's personality.
No.
So I think that's a really important point. So a person's going to deal with you has to realize she's high energy and she's scattered.
Mm. So are you easily mentored? Is that why you've had conflicts with being mentored?
So we're gonna make it personal. All right, so I got some
we're talking about personal experiences.
Yeah, I got some theories, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think I'm hard to mentor if you understand what I really need you for.
So do you give people a pre outline of how to deal with you before, or an interview? So I feel like you should have an interview before you accept any mentor-mentee kind of relationship. So do you prep people?
I try to, but even with that, it makes people uncomfortable.
Oh, I can see that.
Right? Because I'm just kind of the things I need I'm very aware of the things I need from you. So if you have a savior complex, I'm gonna be if you're gonna come save me, then here's all my stuff. And then people like,
but there might be other qualities though that people are able to give you that you don't know that they possess. So I think you'll limit yourself if you come at them like, yo, I know you're good at this, so I need you to do this.
You know what? But then they feel like they're not mentoring. They feel like they're being delegated.
Right.
And like I said, that's why you can't come with the ego.
Right.
Because they feel like, oh, bro, you just basically have me out here. You treat me like one of your workers. Like I'm working for you.
It's not what you say. It's how you say it.
I don't know. Let me tell you. I'm gonna. What you say? What you say? I'm gonna subscribe to that. I'm canceling that subscription. And let me explain why I'm canceling it. That phrasing does not hold people accountable to their egotistical listening. So it doesn't matter how you phrase something. If a person feels threatened by you, there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, you're right to that.
It doesn't matter because everything's gonna be twisted to fit the narrative they want to have of you to feel better about themselves. Right? One of the realest things someone, he's a little older, said to me, he's like, man, you make me feel insecure. And I hugged him. Thank you for telling me that so I know what the energy's coming from. And then we just talked through it. I was like, bro, I need help.
So that's another thing though. So like even to ask someone to be your mentor takes a level of humbleness.
Mm-hmm. They don't see it that way though. Because again, if you're asking why I've had difficulties in the past, and it's weird, like, because it's very hard to feel as if you saved me from something. And
you know, supervisors actually make like some of the best mentors
if the
relationships are right.
They have the opportunity.
Oh, they can make some of the best opportunities.
But I'll give you an example though. One of Miss Darlene Small. She was my. I'm adopted. So when I was.
Oh really? Yeah. I knew that.
What's wrong with you today? Like, you need some water? Anyway, so I'm adopted, and so I went to school, B. Lindsay SDA, over on Parallel, 33rd Parallel, over in Kansas, and Kansas City, Kansas, and Miss Darlene Small, she's my teacher from 6th to like 8th grade, and she was the most, how do I say, she had the most impact on my life as like any single individual. I've met some incredible people, but my whole counseling style, my teaching style, how I think about interacting, it's really based upon her example. And I was used to being suspended from school, fighting, all of that. She pulled me to the bathroom, was just like, what's wrong? And I just cried. So that was one incident. I didn't get suspended or nothing. She put me back in the classroom.
So whenever you cut up, you just need to be taken.
That's Jackie, not what I'm saying.
Hear what he's saying.
Anyway.
When you start just acting up, take him in the bathroom and be like, what's wrong?
Whatever. But
if you're in a restaurant, take him in a closet. What's wrong?
It's things I picked up, and I began doing that with other people. Like, it's things I just picked up in the way she dealt with that. The second thing was, as far as like as being a mentor and having to meet your mentee where they are, I'm a pacer, so I think better in movement. And if you've been watching this video, any videos I've done, I move a lot. I move my hands, I'm walking. That's when my mind is moving is best. And so I was pacing our classroom, and one of the students were like, "Well, why do all of us have to sit down, and he gets to stand up?" And she's like, "Well, when you're making this kind of grades, you can stand up too." And just to hear, let me tell you,
that validation, right?
What? Da, 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 like. Man, there's so many. I've said 3, but it was actually more than 3. There was another instance where I was president of the class. This guy came, and of course we're Sabbath keepers, and he came with kind of this deal, but something sounded really suspect to me about it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like 6th, 7th grade, and this grown man. I'm like, okay, let's sit down. And we had a meeting. She's there. She's not saying a word. And I was like, yeah, we just don't feel comfortable with making that move, and she completely supported it. Then lastly, and this is probably what stuck with me the most, was I've never been good with like science fairs, arts and crafts, stuff that looks like pointless. Like if all I'm gonna get is like a star for it, I'm probably not gonna do it, right? But I tried, and it was awful. And so we had 2 of them for that year, 6th grade. We had 2 of them that year, and so I came to her, I was like, Miss Small, I can't do this again. And my father was helping me. It was just a bad experience all around. And
that gave me chills.
I know,
that bad experience. I can hear it.
It was rough, man. It was rough.
Put the soda, baking soda, in 3 cups, son. No, that's 2.
It was rough. It was rough and gruff. That's for real. And so I was like, I can't do this again. She's like, I'll tell you what. I want you to do a paper. You're going to do an APA style. And so I had to figure out what APA meant. 8-page paper. You choose a topic. you're gonna present it to the class. I'm like, bet. Chose sexual abuse. It was supposed to go on for like 15 minutes. Everybody was so engaged, it went on for about an hour and a half. And she let that happen. And so then you look at what I'm doing today. Right? And that's when I think about mentoring, because she was my teacher, right? But when you think about mentoring, and she has such a strong mentoring element, she encouraged the tools that were there that I didn't know was there.
Right. She saw what you were unable to see at that time. Right?
And that's really important.
That makes the best part of mentors. That it makes me think about like the first awe moment I had at Stephanie, right? Like the really awe moment. I had this lady. She was of white persuasion, and
shout out to the Cajuns.
And she was complaining about me, right? And she was complaining about something. It was completely farce. Like she created this whole situation because she wasn't doing her part of things. And so we were supposed to have this like monthly meetings. She never would attend. And so I stopped sending her the request or asking her to attend. Well, she just one time just randomly figured out she wanted to go, and then like made a formal official complaint that said I didn't attend the meeting. So I'm like, what? So we go into this meeting and she's like, and this and this. And so I was like, well, here's this email, here's this, and here's this. And so Stephanie was like, oh, it was so graceful. Like she had a graceful presence to maneuver the situation and still have the facts and still be accurate and hold people accountable. This lady started crying, and she thought that her tears were going to dismiss her from that. And she said, no, she's fine. Because they were like, oh, we're going to take a break. She said, no, we're not. We're going to finish this, because had this been Victoria, we would have had no breaks. And she created this, so we're going to hold her accountable for the things she created and things she said. And so at that time, I was like, she did that so gracefully. She did that without a cuss word. She did that without a finger snap and an eye roll. But she held people accountable.
Stephanie's Tai Chi is strong.
Bruh. It was like a different level. And then there was another instance where it was some certain things that were happening. And she just was able to put people in their place and have accountability and still have grace and still leverage those relationships. And
I think that's a big part of mentoring that's missed, is protecting them from your peers. So if I'm mentoring someone who's younger and you all have an issue, no, you don't deal with Victoria. I'll deal with Victoria on your behalf.
Right.
Because that's extremely important.
And on the flip side of that, it was holding people accountable. So if you did have an issue with her, go talk to her. Have that direct conversation as well. Because at some point, as a mentor, you have to have faith and confidence that your mentor is able to communicate and effectively and efficiently to be that same.
You mean your mentee?
Yeah, your mentee. You want them to be able to like really maneuver through those situations and really communicate effectively.
But as you know, like the Cajun persuasion you were speaking of earlier, sometimes it's not possible because those who are older tend to be in a position of power in those situations. So there was no way for you to navigate that situation gracefully because of the issue and the person that you were dealing with. And so for her, your mentor, to come in and also is role modeling to you how to deal with conflicts. Yeah, because that's absolutely. That's anxious driven situation if you're younger. So you're gonna have two responses. You're gonna cower up.
You're gonna fight or flight.
Or for those of us who are a little more,
you're gonna fight or flight.
It's like, oh, this whole meeting is about to be burned to the ground.
What?
Yeah, like everybody about to be uncomfortable. Like everybody, like I've had to learn, like unfortunately, because I grew up like a wild horse in a way. So in the situation where I had this talent, I had this ability that everybody saw, but I had no proper grooming. So I was just like, I was a wild horse. It was, so it looked like I was bucking. I wasn't. I didn't understand social norms or how to move within them. And someone pulled me aside. I was like, Travis, he hit me with this so hard. He wasn't a mentor, but he slid in that space. And he said, Trav, it's okay just to let things go. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it's okay just to like, I know you're you. I'm not trying to take that away, but it's okay to like just let some things go. I was like, but if I let it go, then they gonna think, he's like, you can't worry about them. This is about you.
That's another thing. Stevie let me make mistakes, and then we would talk about it later. Like, I mean, and that was fun. That was cool because that was how I was learning. Like, hands-on learning experiences. You would never forget. But understanding
that you're that kind of person.
Yeah.
You know? And so if
learning
you look,
styles, right?
So if you're looking to mentor someone, again, you're not there to change them. You're there to help them enhance what they already have. And if you can't do that, it's also being honest with saying, even as a counselor, if you're a therapist, it's okay to say, you know what, I'm probably not the best person to work with you. Let me find someone who is. But we want, and that's all of us, right? Because we're all kind of starving for validation.
Right.
And if you didn't come up in the home where that was like really fulfilled, it's in you somewhere. It's in me. And it's very important.
Well, and not only just in the homes
over.
unfulfilled, but like when you just got, you know, your knees to your chest and you just grind it out and you don't never lift your head up because you're just too busy trying to make it happen. You don't even realize, you know, the things that you've accomplished in the past. So part of the mentoring is also celebrating the small achievements. So you can...
We talked about that too.
Yeah, so you can continue to be supported and to go. Like really pouring... keeping your fire lit.
So I'm hearing this conversation has been I'm so glad you're here today. A mentor sounds like they need to have a sense of awareness that the mentee may not. They have to be willing to protect the mentee in their path and hold their mentee accountable within the relationship that they've established. And you cannot go in with a savior complex because it's not really about you. And some people just aren't there. They're not capable of doing that. And that's not a diss. It's okay to be like...
And just being okay with letting your mentee fail. That's a big part of some things sometimes as well. And not taking their accomplishments or failures personally. And I think that's... I have a friend of mine that had a mentor. And, he thought he was his mentor. And he's like an exec of a local organization around here. And he really thought that he was looking out for him. And I'm like, nah, he wasn't. Because he's been in a lot of spaces and places where he never gave this young person an opportunity, not once. Exactly. So if you don't even provide opportunities, whether they're learning opportunities or resource opportunities, job opportunities, scholarship opportunities, then you're not a real mentor. If you're not able to make those type of connections, unless you're spiritual mentors. No, every mentor, you should be able to provide some type of opportunity. What door are you opening? Right. Or what door are you preparing them for? That's all I think when the guy called me his mentee, like he said, it's my mentor. I was like, you ain't done nothing. That's all I said. But it sounded like you did. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't done nothing. And I mean, I think that should be earned because all of your opportunities and resources shouldn't just be given away. That should be a proven thing after your mentee have shown, growth, have shown that they're being polished in ways that you can see. And just, upward mobility is being shown. And so I feel like, it's not something that you should expect as a mentee as well. But as a mentee, you also need to understand you don't know nothing. And so like you may be talented, you may be, that's all I think I'm easy to mentor. Like I would like to talk to some of these mentors who have tried and failed. Because they don't really try. They be like, if they get, like I'm telling you that savior complex is real. Like when they're like, wait, so they want to make like this impact in my life. I'm like, I don't really need you for that. No disrespect. But you probably need me to help you manage your relationships. I don't really need like interpersonal help. I need very physical things. Mm. Put me in a meeting with someone. Mm. I need someone who's gonna help me that's what I need. And sometimes being that specific and kind of like, but that's something else. Before we close, I want to, as a mentor, you also gotta know your stuff. Like you need to be accomplished in some way or form or fashion. You gotta have something to offer outside of your good heart and well-meaning. That's why I think some of the best mentors are people who are accomplished because they can open doors for you. They can put you in a position of success. And they've seen that road before. Exactly. So it's like if you've seen that road and can describe that I'm about to hit a dead end before I can hit it, like that's very valuable. You can allow me to skip steps. Right. Like accelerate. Like if it took me 10 years to know something, if it took me 20, 30 years to learn all the things I've learned,
my goal is to teach that to my daughter in 5.
I mean, I think about it this way. This might be a little extreme, but
it's probably gonna be.
It's a little bit extreme.
It's gonna be extreme. Like,
but it's almost like the same sentiment of like if I'm on an underground railroad and I'm trying to hit freedom in a north side, right? Then let me know what are the safe places for me to go and the safe route for me to maneuver through. And so I kind of look at it in that such a crucial kind of way.
But I think, oh man, I didn't mean to. We're gonna have to prolong for a bit. There's a bitterness that we have to deal with, knowing that allowing someone to have an easier path than we did. Right? Because there is a little, and you gonna lie and say that's not me, but there's a bit of bitterness when you see a person, you got to go through all these obstacles, and you're basically just giving them the game where they can skip over all of it.
But that doesn't ensure that they're not going to have even bigger obstacles because they then skip this part of it. But this leap is like an even bigger boulder. So it's
I ain't gonna lie. Like everyone I mentored to the capacity I was able to mentor them, the things I helped them with, because I'm there to help them with this. Like you said, everybody can't do everything. The thing I'm helping them with, when they take that to heart, they accelerated and surpassed me.
They're supposed to. Like,
I know. That's what I'm saying.
You want people to look back and be
agree.
yo, you seen the person I mentored?
But here's the thing, too. I don't think you should ever do that.
You shouldn't. But in your heart, you're going to do that because you're excited for them. You're celebrating with them.
But that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. That bitterness of having to accept the fact that you didn't have a you and they have a you. And that's when I deal with counselors and the doors close, because of course nobody's going to say that out loud. When the doors close, you get people in private rooms and you're dealing with leaders, that's part of the issue. It's like they're going to benefit, like because we have hurts. A lot of like the stuff we had to get through to where we're going.
So I think of it like, it's the Jay-Z and Damon Dash. Like, I love Jay-Z, don't get me wrong, but Jay-Z wanted more employees around him. Damon Dash wanted more generals around him. So if you want generals around you, then that part doesn't even play a role, because your generals, y'all all gonna be standing tall and be able to come together and unite.
But that's not necessarily. But Damon Dash will also say these are not men he's necessarily mentoring either, or see him as a mentor.
Nah, he didn't say that. Actually,
that's what I'm saying.
Very specifically said he mentored these people.
Oh, he said he actually mentored. Yeah. I would love to hear from these people, because I ain't gonna lie to you, like. Especially when you're dealing with, and that's just a sensitivity. I'm just saying as a man, don't say you mentored me. Nah,
he did, and they give him credit. So he's mentored like Kevin Hart, Kanye, and he's like...
Yeah, but they're like, he's like, how'd I say?
I mean, I understand, but I'm just saying, I'm just using this analogy, right, as the message of like creating generals, because when you create generals, then you're eventually going to have an army that is going to be able to accomplish and tackle things that we need to get done. So if that the mindset of people are surpassing you, then you aren't meant to be in an army anyway. So go ahead and sit down or retire, which half the organizational leaders need to do anyway.
See, I see where you're going with this. So I want to bring it back around. I say like, but no,
escalated fast,
and it may not be a dig, but there is a certain, you have to be able to admit that, like even as a father, I didn't have a Travis raising me, and I can't help but think of what if I did. My kids do though, and I'm happy about it. But because it's so one-sided, and this is the whole thing, we ain't gonna talk about parenting right now. But these are the real things that like mentors, counselors, therapists, people in leadership positions have to deal with. It's the fact that you put in the work, someone else is benefiting from the work you put in without the scars that you acquired by getting it. That's why this whole idea, earn your stripes, where do you think that comes from?
Well, I mean,
you need to earn your stripes. You need to go through a little something first. And people leave you out in the cold like they were out in the cold. No, I don't need stripes. Like, you got the stripes. I can learn from yours.
See, I see where they see that the sense of entitlement comes from in this generation.
What?
So, like, no, because I really don't. Yeah, no.
Wait, what are you saying though, too, exactly?
No, all of it.
What?
So, yes. Like I said, that comes with like effective leaders. Effective leaders know that to build great people around you, people are going to be great, and you want people, their greatest assets and skill sets to shine and show up. So it's like, if you are, so for me, I'm not saying you're not a great leader, by no means. What I'm saying for me is if you had a Travis in your life, then you wouldn't be the counselor that you were now. So you specifically in your journey needed to go through those things.
No, hear me out though.
But
some of those things I absolutely did not need to go through.
I don't know.
No, I do. I can tell you there are certain things where I'm like, someone should grab me by the scruff of my neck and sat me down. Like they should have sat me. I should have been censored.
But
no,
could
sir.
you have been censored?
I could have if the person would have come with the intention to actually help in my development and not just take advantage of my talents because they're loud. Then yeah, absolutely.
Because there's certain periods and aspects in my life you could not snatch me up and sit me down.
Well, I mean that's your whole life, but
What?
I'm actually like, you know, you can actually reach me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what? Says no mentor ever.
I'm trying to learn out here.
Says
you know
no mentor ever.
Because they weren't good mentors. They need to listen to this podcast.
It's everybody else's fault. Kids.
But there's been a few, like I said.
And this message has been brought to you by millennials.
But there have been situations where the people who have been successful, because they came with the attitude of, I want you to be great, versus I want you to go through things I went through. So, like, the idea of being ahead bothers people. It doesn't bother me. I'm like, look, I want you to be great because that's the point. We're supposed to evolve. We shouldn't be continually recreating the wheel. But it's all attitude, like, nah. It's one thing, there's certain things that happen naturally, right? So, like, that doesn't mean you don't let people make mistakes. There's certain mistakes I allow my daughter to make, right? So, like, I teach her the ideology, give her the skills, and allow her to practice. Mm-hmm. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm not going to...
You're talking about, like, detrimental mistakes.
Yeah, or I'm not going to put her in a position where I'm not going to share things with you just because I want you to go through this painful situation. That's more what I'm speaking to. I went through this painful situation, and no, I'm not going to... It's like saying I'm not going to teach you about safe sex because I had a baby at 19. So you need to learn the way I did, and hopefully... No. I'm going to teach you how to move. Now, what you choose to do is what you choose to do, but I'm going to put you in the game that I didn't have.
Also, being a mentor, you have to be open to learning as well from the mentee. You have to be open to this situation. I'm going to get something out of it that is going to be crucial to my development.
But the mentee shouldn't have the attitude that I'm here to teach the mentor.
Oh, no. Why would that be
But
there?
the mentor should have the attitude that I am willing to learn from the mentee.
Yes.
That's the issue I have. People like, that's been the major issue. Like, they'll be like, Travis, this and that. I'm willing to listen to anything you say, but if I have questions, I'm going to ask. And they don't be having answers and they get mad because they ain't got answers. How you going to get mad because you don't got answers?
This reminds me of a supervisor we once had.
Okay, I'm back.
Shout out to him.
Go.
He was really cool. I didn't have no problem. I didn't take him serious at all. And that was a great opportunity. That was a great opportunity for all of us that were young. We were young, we were hungry, we were there, and we were like, yo, what's next? What we got?
Yeah, even talking about that individual, those are the kind of people I would be running into. I did nothing. Like, I would come to them like, okay, what do you want me to do? Blah, 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 blah. When this man told me, was like, well, I threw you under the bus in the meeting because I didn't want to think you had more power than me. I'm sorry.
You gonna take that one too, like...
I'm taking, that's like, I'm like, oh, you sound just like the rest of these people. Just saying, I'm a little bitter.
So, what's your experiences with being mentored by people that are not of color?
I've never had that experience.
And maybe you should try it.
Yeah. But you know what? I would say too, there's someone else, there's been a few. I said my teacher in 6th grade, Ms. Renita from Colorado, right? She took me and my wife in. She has a business. She gave us actually like our first contracts for our company. Mm-hmm. So like, but they've been women, right?
That's a surprise to you?
No, but I'm thinking that we're not going to do any introspecting right now.
Okay.
But I think that means something.
It does.
But yeah, it's been women actually, and I think as a man, what you really like, there's something. I'm talking to our black men right now. There is something about being affirmed as a black man, being affirmed by a more accomplished black man that feels different. It just feels different.
Well, that would make sense because, women by nature, we're nurturers. We're made to nurture and to develop.
You know what? I think that's a great evidence of how easy I am to mentor because I'm up for being nurtured. I think it's a great point. I like what you did there.
Fast.
It did. I think that made a great point. I appreciate that. Yeah.
And never mind that we're one of the number one largest groups that's rising in education and entrepreneurship. So we have the ability to see and to cultivate as well as nurture. And I think that's a beautiful combination.
I think a lot of times men are so driven by the resource that's never talked about. It's not just it's the attention from women.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of times why the power is attractive. Is because of how women respond to how they perceive power. So they feel like you are bringing something that is undermining that, it's going to create a conflict, even if that ain't your attention.
My snuggle bunny, he's powerful to me.
Oh yeah, can we say his name? Are we not saying his name? Is that what we doing? Or is he being like censored?
I said his name. Kirk Proctor, my snuggle bunny.
Yeah, he's actually like, he's an example. But you know what? When me and him met,
He does a really great job in mentorship. He does a really great job of affirming people and being open.
But you know, part of it has a lot to do with he's very comfortable. Well, we came to this point. We've said a lot, so I hope y'all getting catching this. This is good stuff right now. He's comfortable in his skin.
He's very comfortable.
And but we have so much insecurities like that we have in our culture. Even those who are successful, there's a lot of insecurity. He's very comfortable in his skin. You don't have to be rich to be a good mentor. But there's a comfortability, and that comfortability comes off. So me and Kirk hit it off very well because Kirk just don't feel threatened by nothing.
He's not. He's very.
He doesn't.
Well, and then also like he's been a trailblazer in his own right.
Absolutely.
Like he had to figure things out himself, and he had people along the way that were positioned and postured as mentors, but weren't really mentors. And so he has
a similar experience.
He did have a similar experience. They were postured in ways where they presented themselves as mentors. So it's not just
me. Okay, shout out to Kirk. I feel you, bro.
But then he had some really great people that came along and was like, but you know, it's really funny to see people interact with him because he is so comfortable with his skin. I've witnessed people like when they approach him, they automatically position themselves to be competitive or higher than what they are, and it seems so weird. I'm like, what?
But and as black men, we gotta deal with that in our culture. Is that for those who are older and more seasoned, whatever has you feeling defensive, you gotta deal with that.
Or for your light to shine, someone else's light does not have to be dimmed, and that is a thing.
Or every bright light isn't a threat to your own light.
Right, like you still shine bright, and then imagine how much you illuminate when you shine together.
Yo, this has been a very rich conversation. It has, but we knew it was going to be. So those who are listening, I hope that those who are looking to be mentors, right, or mentees, I hope you really tuned into this and really grasped some of the gems that were in this conversation. Because each one, it takes us to build each other, right? And so, if you have any questions, first of all, comments, feel free to comment because I am of the mindset that if I say it out loud, it's meant to be challenged. So that's one. Two, if you're looking to be a mentor and you're just trying to figure out how to go about that, or you're looking for mentorship, hit me up, touchkc.com. I'm all over social media. Catch us on Facebook, TouchKC on Facebook, Enterpersonal, that's E-N-T-E-R personal. We have a Facebook page, we're on Facebook, we have a blog, Enterpersonal.com, TravisBryanJr.com. If you're looking to be trained, because training is not a bad word, it's necessary. You have the heart, but you don't have the skills. Come talk to me. I'd love to work with you.
Yeah, some other mentor opportunities as well. UMKC Women of Color, UMKC Men of Color, Michelle Watley's, Shirley Kitchen's Cabinet. Awesome.
I've heard about Shirley. I keep hearing about it. I need to get out there.
So like just get involved with something that really like suits your passion, that really lights your fire, that keeps you motivated, because this world is really cruel. So as much as you can, be surrounded by positive people and positive movements and things. And
be a positive person.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that's hard, but strive to be better and take it one step at a time. But these are just awesome. And Village KC. Village KC will be making this grand. I think they're having their launch sometime this February or January. Deanna Safo, hit her up too. So there's opportunities all over, and just get involved.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you around.